The corner of the shopper's mouth twitched slightly, but she didn't know how to answer for a moment. Other people come to buy this stuff and ask if it's comfortable to wear, but this guy comes up and asks if it looks good? Isn't an undershirt supposed to be worn underneath? What's so bad about it? Is it hard to believe he's a pervert? Thinking of this, the shopper's gaze towards Su Fan seemed to have become not quite the same. Just as she was mortared in place, not knowing what to do, a middle-aged woman dressed in a flamboyant manner swayed her waist and walked towards this side, looking at the name tag pinned on his chest and the mature woman's flavor. Su Fan was roughly sure that the other party should be a manager or something like that. Handsome man, you're buying this for your girlfriend, right? Then you've come to the right place. Inside our store, we have all kinds of styles and models. Su Fan looked at the guide, then turned his gaze back to the manager and spoke with forced composure. That's right, my date isn't feeling too well today, so I'm running it for him. At the words, the manager raised his eyebrows. What kind of girl has such a good life? In all the years we've been in business, this is the first time we've met a girl who came to buy something for her girlfriend. The manager pursed her lips and smiled. Her words were full of appreciation. Such a sophisticated way of dealing with people. It was no wonder she could be a manager. Su Fan looked at the other party's enthusiastic attitude and swept away his previous embarrassment. Handsome, what kind of model does your girlfriend like? Let me help you pick one. Just the black one. It doesn't have to be too sexy. Black is more pleasing to look at. The manager had an expression of I understand, causing the corners of Su Fan's mouth to twitch uncontrollably and slightly. Handsome, you wait here now for a moment, and I'll go pick out a few things for you to look at. Okay. When he got a reply, the manager turned around and took out some black tank tops. The styles are very different, just not quite the same thickness and lace trim pattern. Handsome, look at these. With that, he reached out and handed it to Su Fan. Looking at the clothing in his hand, Su Fan's hand shook slightly. It was the first time he had ever touched this thing since he grew up. He couldn't show it though, or he'd be embarrassed. Looking at Su Fan not speaking, the manager narrated. Handsome, not that I blow you. These models in your hand are the top quality of this store. The sales are very good, and there are many people who buy back. Buy it to ensure that your girlfriend likes it a lot. Looking at the manager blowing up the sky beside him, itching to personally wear it and show it to him. Su Fan was also speechless for a while, since he also has no experience. He doesn't know exactly how well it works. However, the touch of this one in one's hand felt quite good, very silky and soft, thinking that it should be more comfortable if the demoness wore it, right? The manager was still blah blah blah, and Su Fan pursed his lips impatiently. I just want to know how much. The manager sniffed and was reserved for a moment. For this set, it's about $799 on sale, but you can get 10% off if you apply for a membership card. What? That's it? You want another $799? That expensive? Su Fan was unusually shocked. He had never thought that feminine products were actually so expensive. He thought it was only $20 or $30, but after the number came out of the manager's mouth, his whole body was bad. Looking at Su Fan's surprised look, the manager explained in a coy voice. Handsome, you get what you pay for. This is the quality of our store. Buy it back. Then your girlfriend will definitely be very happy, the manager said while gesticulating vigorously, in a desperate attempt to sell this set of products that were slightly expensive for Su Fan, resistant to the sales pitch. In the end, after careful consideration, Su Fan still chose to sell the next set. After all, if you really went to buy a roadside stall, when Tang Yanling was uncomfortable in it, wouldn't she immediately cut herself? So, you can't save this money, and you can't save it. After leaving Urban Beauty, Su Fan went to purchase a few more sets of clothing for Tang Yanling, which included a JK uniform, as well as a stepmother's wraparound skirt. It's not that Su Fan likes it, but he can't resist the shopper who was too enthusiastic and keeps saying that young girls nowadays like to wear these. Unable to do anything about it, Su Fan had no choice but to accept it as it was, thinking that Tang Yanling, being a devil emperor with such a hot body, should look good in it. This trip out had taken Su Fan more than an hour in total, and it had also hitched up $5,000. Touching his wallet, which was already deflated to the point of no return, Su Fan was in a state of physical pain, which was really spending money like water. I think it took a lot of effort to save all that money. When Su Fan took a taxi back to the downstairs of the rental house, it was already 12 o'clock at night. The old rented house seemed unusually quiet late at night, and the darkness brought full discomfort. Feeling his surroundings, a sudden gust of cold wind blew by, and Su Fan shivered. Why does it feel a little cold today? It's the middle of summer. Carrying his things and feeling the dim light, Su Fan found the floor of his rental house, slowly stepping upward. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway flickered violently twice, and then went out with a pop. Su Fan murmured, "Ha, why is this light out?" Just as he was filled with doubt, a voice slowly sounded in the darkened hallway. Brother, come play with me. Chapter 5. It's no use shouting at the top of your lungs. Chapter 5. It's no use shouting at the top of your lungs. Su Fan heard it exceptionally clearly, and he was pretty sure that someone behind him had just called out. He didn't immediately strike up a conversation, though, after all, he couldn't be sure it was calling him. No. Just as Su Fan thought so, that voice from behind continued to come. Brother, come and play with me. Our sister is so hot. The coquettish voice was full of extreme seductiveness, bewitching, just like a female cat in heat. It was difficult to control the odor emanating from her body. When the voice reappeared, Su Fan heard it more truly, so he turned his head towards his back. To his dismay though, the empty space behind him, coupled with the fact that the light bulb had gone out, made it impossible to see anything. Su Fan couldn't help but tremble, remembering a rumor he had heard some time ago. 2 days ago when he went to the convenience store downstairs to buy something, the middle-aged greasy boss told him that a female sex fiend had recently appeared in the area. At that time, upon hearing this, Su Fan instantly widened his eyes. He had never seen a female sex fiend when he grew up, and was obviously very interested in this matter, so he pursued the matter further. I heard from the owner that the relevant authorities have launched an investigation, but there is still no clue. After investigating for so long with no results, the surrounding neighbors said that the female sex demon is actually a female ghost. Otherwise, with today's technology, how could a big living person escape the net of the law? And moreover, none of the men who have been violated by her has ever seen her face. So, this thing just got more and more evil, and there were all kinds of versions. At that time, the boss even poked fun at Su Fan, saying that he was so handsome that he would probably be its target, and he didn't think so at that time, but now that he thought back, he instantly panicked. If this thing was true? Without much thought, Su Fan panicked and turned on the torch of his newly purchased cell phone, and the piercing light met the gesture. Su Fan, who had originally thought that he would find something, was greatly disappointed that there was still nothing behind him. Could I have misheard? Shaking his head, he put the thoughts he had just had behind him. Just as he breathed a sigh of relief, he was about to step and continue up the stairs. A ghostly exhale came from behind her ears. Brother, come play with me. Without waiting for Su Fan to react, a slender jade hand smoothly rested on his shoulder and gently embraced him from behind. A soul-stirring voice lingered in his ears for a long time without dissipating, directly giving Su Fan goosebumps all over his body. Suddenly, Su Fan reacted. A strange woman suddenly came out at this time of night. It couldn't be the female sex fiend that the convenience store owner said a few days ago, could it? And the other person was supposed to be a female ghost? Su Fan forced himself to stay calm, stuttering and wriggling his lips. Little miss, this is not good. Although his mouth said so, but the other party's haunting soulful voice, as if another wave of magic, so that his body uncontrollably hot. Su Fan's heart began to stir uncontrollably, and even his breathing became more and more rapid. The truth was that he had never had such intimate contact with any woman since he had grown so, except for that NPC, of course, although you can perceive the truest sense of touch inside the game, but that can't be compared, well, right? Kissing an avatar is nothing. Su Fan soothed himself, and now, behind him, seemingly hugged by a big beautiful woman? Granted, the other person may be a female ghost. The woman didn't care about Su Fan's words. Instead, she began to move her hands and feet, running up and down his body. Su Fan felt the other party's light caress and swallowed hard. The knots in his throat rolled up and down as if a blazing fire was burning in his body. Hero's twilight resignation. White youth head. The old man early 20s is still a place. Now sent to the door. Ning Kaichun our grass. Is not I Su someone cannot grass it. I'm not going to grass it this time. When will I wait? In the end, Su Fan was still overwhelmed by lust. Desire overwhelmed his mind and overcame reason. With those words, he was like a beast out of its cage, wantonly displaying his most primitive desire. He turned, and an exquisite face presented itself to him. The female ghost close at hand was actually so good-looking, exhaling gracefully like an orchid, a breath of fresh scent panting in a ghostly manner. Sure enough, Ning Sung does not deceive me. At the thought, Su Fan's throat rolled, and a certain place stood up uncontrollably. Such a good thing can actually let him meet. Looks like today he is going to sacrifice his virginity. The other party is a female ghost, but what does that matter? He himself is a man who won't even let go of NPCs. Right at this moment, the female ghost on the opposite side instantly Yama lived. How could she not expect Su Fan to actually monkey around more than herself? That's not at all what she thought it would be. As an authentic female ghost herself, she specializes in harvesting male young energy, and the ones she met were all cowards, left to be ravaged by her. But the man in front of her seemed to be completely out of his element. How dare you reverse the order? looking at Su Fan's almost on the edge of madness appearance. The female ghost shrunk her neck uncontrollably. Don't you come over, otherwise I'll have to yell for someone. Looking at the female ghost in front of him with a pitiful look, Su Fan became more and more excited. Scream. Scream as hard as you can. No one will come to your rescue even if you scream your throat out. The louder you scream, the more excited I get. Female ghost. Damn, how did you run into such a man today? Actually more colorful than yourself, knowing that you are a ghost. A little bit of fear first not to mention, but more and more excited. Look at this son. We'll have to change places or we'll meet him again. Just as she broke free from Su Fan's grip, intending to cast a spell and run away, a sense of oppression that was desperate to the extreme came. The strong feeling of suffocation pressed her so hard that she was almost on the verge of gasping for air, and her entire body instantly paralyzed on the stairs, unable to even move. What man? Actually so strong. The female ghost's heart was shocked, and a horrified look leapt onto its face. She had harvested so many prey, and thought that this group of mortals were nothing more than pigs, dogs, cows and sheep to be slaughtered. But what was this extremely strong sense of oppression now? She felt the threat to her life, as if the other party was able to make her soul fall apart with just a thought. This pressure did not have any effect on Su Fan, as he looked at the female ghost who was paralyzed to the side, her body constantly trembling as an aura of despair began to permeate her body. Panic, despair, so the emotion showed above her delicate cheeks, bean-sized sweat running down the hair at her temples, looking extremely pained. Suddenly, a shrill scream came out, and the female ghost exploded as if she were an inflated balloon. Immediately afterward, broken limbs flew and spilled in all directions. Not long after, the limbs began to disintegrate, turning into wisps of green smoke that dissipated into the air without leaving a trace. After everything calmed down, a ball of light appeared in front of Su Fan's eyes, and just as he wanted to reach out and grab it, the ball of light actually automatically floated toward the upper floors, and the direction to go was actually his rental house. Chapter 6, The Great Flimflammer Su Fan. Chapter 6, The Great Flip-Flopper Su Fan. The scene that was happening in front of him was truly unbelievable to Su Fan. A living person disappeared from in front of him in the blink of an eye, which was undoubtedly a break from the original worldview for him in the modern world. But after thinking about it, even the NPCs inside the game could come out. What else was there that he couldn't accept? Thinking of this, Su Fan shook his head vigorously, throwing some of this out of his mind. When he slowly came back to his senses, the one fluorescent-colored ball of light had already disappeared, vanishing without a trace. Just at this moment, he suddenly thought of something, hurriedly looked over in the direction of his own rental house, and then leapt to take a big stride upward and ran wildly. And while running, he fumbled for the key from inside his pants pocket. The door to the room was opened, only to see that Tang Yanling had awakened at some point, and was sitting with her legs crossed with her eyes closed, a circle of dark-colored light encircling her body. Su Fan looked straight at all of this without saying a word. It must be that the female ghost just now should have been killed by her, and that ball of light should have some special effect that could help her heal her injuries. Not too long after, the dull-colored light that surrounded Tang Yanling's body slowly dissipated, causing her originally pale face to become rosy with the naked eye. The aura of this realm is basically so thin that there isn't even the slightest bit of it, and you can't detect any semblance of cultivation all over your body. Suddenly, an icy voice slowly sounded in the slightly silent room, carrying 1 part inquiry, 2 parts disbelief, and 3 parts harshness. Even the air began to turn icy cold due to the sound of this voice. Tang Yanling opened her eyes, and a purple light flashed through her eyes as she was gazing straight at Su Fan. In that moment just now, her brain raced, and coupled with its cultivation, it was able to give her thousands of thoughts in a split second. She wouldn't believe half of the bull Su Fan had said before, and she's been able to talk to it so far, just out of curiosity. Although Su Fan had reincarnated to this low-ranking realm, how could he retain his previous memories? And with no cultivation at all, he was completely indistinguishable from a mortal. Of course, the reason why she had chased her to this realm was still because of the kiss Su Fan had given her when he had dueled with her back then. He was so sad and determined at the time, so willing to be disarmed by the military to kiss himself, that she couldn't figure out what was going on, and that there must be some unknown secret. Su Fan felt the air getting colder and colder, plus Tang Yanling's pair of stern eyes were watching him. He felt a great sense of oppression and panic to batch inside. However, he knew that he couldn't show his cowardice, or he would be just like the female ghost just now, and become a soul under its sword. Su Fan forced himself to be calm, sighed softly, and slowly put down the things in his hands.